Hey there guys, and a warm and hearty welcome to the next tutorial here on the channel. Going to be working on a Tardis wallet from the Doctor Who series in this video. You guys might remember a long time ago I made a wallet called the Rubik's Cube wallet, which was kind of a trifold wallet, but it had two extra flaps on it so that I could sit up like a cube, and then of course I decorated to make it look like a Rubik's Cube, and that's kind of exactly why I call it the Rubik's Cube wallet. Well, I'm actually going to be kind of working on a wallet in this video that's kind of like a cross between a quad fold wallet and a tri-bifold wallet and a bunch of other terms that are probably confusing to you, but I'm going to be showing you exactly what I'm going to be doing. And for this video, if you want to follow it along to make all the colors accurate, you're going to need the dark blue duct tape, black, and white. So let's start working on the tutorial here. So speaking of the Rubik's Cube wallet, I was actually just able to dig it out of my collection after a few minutes, and I want to show you exactly kind of what the concept of the Rubik's Cube wallet is here before we work on the Tardis one. So this is exactly what the Rubik's Cube wallet was. If you guys haven't seen it before, it's basically a trifold wallet. It's got the trifold over here, but then it's got these two extra flaps up here, and right here, which when you fold it all out and kind of set it up, takes a little bit of maneuvering to get it to set up right. But when you set up just like this, it looks like a Rubik's Cube, with all the different colors. And that's exactly what we're going to be working on here, except it's going to be much taller, and it's pretty much going to be the Tardis instead. So in paper, this is exactly what it looks like here. You have the four sides of the Tardis and then the top, and the bottom is just going to be open because it's going to be sitting on the bottom here, kind of like the bottom of the Rubik's Cube wallet is open up here. So all these fold together, that connects to it right about there, and I'll show you how to do that. And then of course you've got the top, and it sits kind of sort of like this. And of course now we're going to work on this out of duct tape, and more specifically the dark blue tape. So let's get started on that. Here we go. So for the measurements portion of this tutorial, you're either going to need a ruler or you're going to need your cutting mat, which I assume has, the ruler guidelines and bars and everything on it. So the entire length of this piece here is 11 inches, so that's 11 inches across, and it's exactly 5 inches tall, and that'll be the the height of the Tardis that we're going to be making. So what you want to do is take your dark blue tape, if you're following along with the exact same colors to make it look accurate, and we're going to cut out a whole bunch of strips that are 11 inches long and keep applying them together until we get a sheet of tape that is 11 inches long and 5 inches high. So I have my first strip here. I'm going to cut that out, and I cut out a whole bunch of strips until I kind of apply them back and forth to get the height of that piece here. Okie dokie, so after applying 3 strips on one side, 3 strips on the other, I have my sheet of tape that is 11 inches long and 5 inches high. Now what we want to do is work on the top portion, which will become the top portion of the Tardis right down here. And this square is 2 3/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. So all we need to do is cut out probably 4 strips that are 2 3/4 inches long, apply them together, 2 on one side, 2 on the other side to create that extra square, and then we'll attach that into this piece after we fold it. So do that step now. So here are my 4 2 3/4 inch strips. Take my first one, and this brand new tape is really sticky, so I'm trying to work with it as best I can, but it's really sticking tonight. So I got my first one here. I'm going to take my second one, of course, and just stick it right on top. Take my third strip, and I'm going to use my cutting mat here to measure 2 3/4 inches, which is to right about there. And make sure that this sticks down exactly the right size. It should be a perfect square because all these strips are 2 3/4 inches, and we're applying it so that it's 2 3/4 inches high. So the last one to cover up the rest of the sticky side. And you can do the slightest little bit of trimming, but you pretty much want to make sure it's perfect on the first try, especially if you're making it to the exact same dimensions. So there we go. It looks like a perfect square. Now we need to attach it into this piece here after we fold it. So before we attach this square on the bottom or the top really, I need to take this piece and I need to mark it every 2 3/4 inches. And you mark it 3 times in the center. That's going to be, the entire length of all of the entire 11 inches here. So I'm going to take my ruler, or you can use your cutting mat, and make sure it's exactly lined up. So 2 3/4. And then you're going to come 2 3/4 from the other side. 1 2 2 3/4, and then one's right in the center. So 6 1/2, right about there. And then once you have all these folded together, we're going to fold them all together, and it's going to be even. Alright, so I actually had to measure it with my ruler here because I got a little confused on the measurements here. But every 2 3/4 inches, you want to make your mark, so there, and then another 2 3/4 inches there. So you only have 3, and now what you want to do is fold them. So once you get to that line, you're just going to fold it in half here. Well, not really in half, but you're going to fold right to the line. And this will be a little bit difficult if you're folding it this way, but you want to fold it right to there. So fold to the next line. Make sure that's a good crease right there. Now what you want to do is take the other side and once again fold it to the line in the center. So right about there, and make sure that's a good crease. Alright, so now we have that one right there, and we want to measure it and then kind of just fold it right about there. And this will be pretty much directly in half. And make sure these are all really good creases. It might help to take, a little bit of time, set a heavy book on top of each one of these so that it stays closed, because you definitely want, when you set the entire thing up, to really, just stay together and everything. So make sure each one of these is a really good crease, and then we can attach this to the top or the bottom. It's really, it doesn't make too much of a difference, and then we'll start working on pretty much everything inside it. So a single 2 3/4 inch strip will be enough to attach this, and you can really put this anywhere you want to. I'm just going to set it right here in the center. You do want to make sure it's directly in between those two creases and ultimately the lines that the creases are sitting on. And you want it to be able to kind of flex all the way into the entire wallet here. And of course that's another crease that you definitely want to be able to make it nice and flexible so that it can open and close without any trouble. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so now comes the part of the tutorial where you really want to throw everything you want into the middle of your wallet here. So credit card holders, ID holders. There's really no billfold on this wallet, so you probably want to use like a money clip or something like I used in my flip wallet videos. I'm assuming that this is a more complicated wallet, so I'm assuming that you pretty much already know how to make credit card holders and ID holders. If you don't, I'll put a few links in the description box to a few other videos on how to make those specific things, and then you can incorporate those directly into this wallet. So if you're starting off making this wallet, definitely try to to go with a few other simpler wallet designs before you graduate to something quite this extensive. But like I said, I'll put a few links in the description box to work on ID holders and credit card holders and stuff like that. So I'm assuming we put everything into our wallet now. Once you get everything into your wallet, that's for function, like that other stuff I was just talking about, you can start working on decoration, which will all go on the outside, and it won't conflict with anything on the inside because you've already put everything in. So now let's work on decoration next. So the first thing I'm going to work on are those square inserts that are on all sides of the Tardis and are right below the windows, those square things. So I decided I got a long strip of black tape here. I'm going to decide a good size for the square. I'm going to use my ruler to cut straight across, and then I'm going to go each side here and kind of cut out what I think are probably the right size for this wallet. I'm just going to eyeball it and cut out a whole bunch of these squares. I won't be able to use this one because it's too small, but definitely the top one I'll be able to use. And there are 6 of these for every side of the Tardis, and then of course there are the two windows, the 2 window pieces. So you want 6 per side, and there are 4 sides, so we need 24 of these. So you're going to be cutting out a decent amount of these if you want it to be totally accurate, like the one that I'm going to be making here. So just cut out all these different pieces, and then you'll be able to peel each one up and apply them to the outside of the Tardis wallet. So now you can see guys cutting out a whole bunch of those different squares. I have all of those applied. I'm working on my last 3 here. And of course you can work on these to make them any size you want, or really any combination. The trick is just having a decent amount of blue in between each one of them and leaving a decent spot for the windows, which you can apply to every single piece because they are all the way around the Tardis, or you can just leave it on a couple of them depending on how much you want to cut and really how accurate you want to be. So there's my last one. Now I need to start working on the windows, which will be of course using the white tape. So for the interest of time in this tutorial, I'm just going to do 2 of the windows here for this piece. And you have really a couple ways of doing this. You can cut the different little stripes in the center and then kind of pull those out so you have 6 little individual windows, like 6 individual rectangles. Or you can do it a little bit faster and just use the little bit of blue tape as your background, quote unquote. So I'm going to show you how to do that method because it saves a little bit of time and a little bit of measuring with the cutting to make sure that every window is the same. So I'm going to show you how to do this. You just want to apply this right in the center, just like that. So there's one on there, and here's another one. Of course, you want to make sure that they're straight across, up and down, that each piece is the same. And of course, we have one going straight across. And now all we have to do is trim off the excess right here and here, and on the bottom, and peel this entire piece out. And there we have it. That's a lot faster than cutting out all the individual pieces. So I'm going to grab this piece here, and these are about 1 inch by 1 inch, or about the same size as the squares here. And that goes right about there. And there, of course, are the windows. Do the exact same thing with this one.